Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 716 Sports Podcast. I apologize for our brief / extended absence. I don't know what it is. The summer starts. Life happens. We've been busy. We've all been busy.
Well, there's not much in the way of Buffalo sports, and real life comes in the way.
Real life is starting to happen again, which is exciting for starters. It's always fun. Yeah, Zach and I have been pretty busy. I've been really busy preparing for 11-day power play coming up in November. Lots of prep. We're going into that. But what have you boys been up to, Mike? It's skeleton crew tonight. Just start with that. No Jeff, no Derek. Just Steve and Mike and Justin in the house tonight.
Well, I've got my over 30 old man roller hockey league, which I try to play like skate like I'm 20. I'm almost 40.
Keyword's try.
And then, the keyword is try, and not very well succeed at all. And then just doing the FC Buffalo thing, men and women.
Nice. How's it going, FC Buffalo? How are they doing?
Men are 2-3-1. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now.
Oh, dear.
And the women are 5-1-1. But I wouldn't look too much into their one loss last night. It was coming the second in back games in back-to-back days where they completed 2 games in less than 24 hours. Against the second game was against the second place team in the league. So,
meanwhile, Steve was out there crushing walk-off singles.
Wasn't okay. I didn't walk off at all, but we were at the top of the inning. You just wanted to tee me up. I played beer league softball. I had a nice hit with 2 outs and nobody on, and then later came on to score, tied the game, and then we won an extra. So similar to your rec league roller hockey, I'm out there playing beer league softball, and had a career highlight on Friday. I was pretty fired up about it. So I still stink, but I was pretty fired up by that big highlight. So yeah, playing some softball. Also, like at the same time as things are starting to like go back to normal, this also was a time that we already had like 3 weddings to go to. So now that's all coming to fruition. So you asked about what we're doing in life. It's just a bazillion parties every weekend. Not complaining, but like
just making up for the last year as soon as possible.
Yeah, it feels like people are kind of doing that. But what's interesting, it's not like these people waited to have these weddings for things to open up. They were ready to follow the guidelines, and we were going to have to. Well, that sounds awful. We were going to have to go to these stupid things anyway. No, we were going to the weddings anyway. But now, like, restrictions are lifted. Our coworker said he went to a wedding Friday, and he called it a rip-roaring time. He said there was no restrictions, and it was a lot of fun. So we're kind of in wedding season. And, summer's been off to a good start so far, and I am sad that we are losing time every day. That Sunday was the longest day of the year, right? And now we're losing seconds every day of daylight, which makes me sad.
It's enough about our boring bullshit. We got stuff to talk about today. We're talking about the Bills Stadium. We're talking about the Bills maybe a bit. Sabres are in the news a lot these days, and I think we have differing opinions and thoughts on the rest of the Buffalo Sabres sports Twitter sphere world. So we'll get into a lot of that. Maybe some hot takes, maybe not hot takes, maybe some
difference of opinion, which might be refreshing if you're listening, because you hear the same thing no matter where you go.
Everything's the same. And I really try to sit and think objectively about these things, and it's maybe too much.
But we didn't sit here tonight and say, hey, let's make a show where we're perpendicular to everyone's opinion. The 3 of us have had opinions about this consistently since the swirling rumors started about Eichel being traded. So just tease into it for now. But
I don't even know where to begin. I have so many thoughts on it. I should have been taking notes, but I feel like it'll come spewing out in our typical unorganized way here shortly.
Can I try to steer us a little bit, because we haven't talked about it much?
Steer the ship.
It kind of started with Eichel's press conference, where he said there was a disconnect between him and the team over treatment. And to be honest, when I first heard that, I was ready to kind of blast the organization, like, your star player wants surgery and you won't let him have it. But then, and this is going to sound like the total like Sabres organizational homer, like I've heard other people in the hockey world no team would be willing to let an experimental procedure happen without exhausting every other option first. And this wasn't necessarily them telling him to go sit down in a corner and be quiet. This is them trying to protect their $10 million asset. But of course, the Sabres have been so bad for so long, they don't have the benefit of the doubt with anybody. So the storm started when Eichel used the word disconnect. And I don't know where your head went right away when you heard that. Instinctively, my brain was like, great, the Sabres really screwed this up. But then thinking objectively, hearing opinions of hockey writers, of professional hockey players, of former players are like, no, teams aren't going to be fired up to let you go and get an experimental procedure. You know, they're going to try to exhaust every other option first. And I think it was even Paul Hamilton that was like, I was ready to disagree with the Sabres. It was Mike Harrington. He's like, I was ready to bomb the Sabres about it. And the more I learned and the more I listened, I think I kind of side with the Sabres, not letting him get this spinal fusion or whatever.
Yeah, it made more sense the next day when more news came out about what the surgery was and all that. But
it also didn't help that Eichel in that same press conference said something to the effect of he's got to get ready to play next season wherever that may be.
It didn't sound good, obviously. It didn't sound good, but what it sounded like to me was a lot of posturing. So there's not a lot of cards in his deck, and he was trying to really force the Sabres' hand, and that's his only card. You know, he just probably came up prepared by his agent, and did what he did. It caught the Sabres off guard, made him angry, and that's where all this started, right? And then obviously the Sam press conference where he was obviously disgruntled, but he just hates talking to our media in general. You know, Granato comes out saying he has a much different attitude in his one-on-one with him. He's very, you see a different Sam, but he's not in front of the media. He does not like Harrington. He's not like P. Ham. You go to the same media and answer the same 4 questions all the time. You'd be pissed off and annoyed too, right? But no, that's where all these trade rumors, surface. It's like they quote unquote they don't want to be here. They want to get out of here. I don't think that's true per se. Maybe they're tired of losing, I'd imagine. But that's where all these rumors started. And then obviously we want players who want to be here. And you're reading between those lines by Kevin Adams. And here comes the rumors. The rumors that Risto is talked to. Being in talks with New Jersey, and rumors of Sam going to Vancouver. Yeah. Now we got Jack and the Ducks and Chicago and maybe the Kings, or maybe they're lying, and maybe
the Rangers,
maybe the Blue Jackets now.
And the Kings said they weren't in on the Jack Eichel sweepstakes, which could be a total smokescreen lie.
Yeah, Friedman or Drager said it feels like it's a lie.
Yeah,
but yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. A lot of it, like a trade like this, it seems like it's happening way too fast. I remember back when Botterill traded for Montour, he was saying how long that trade was in the works for. That's a basic hockey trade. It's Brandon Montour for a prospect and a pick, right? It took like a year or like an offseason and then finally happened in the deadline. And now we're talking about a superstar player with a severe neck injury and a $10 million contract and no movement clause. A trade that wouldn't be being pushed along so fast. Unless Pagula was angry about what he said and is trying to push Jack out of here. But even trading Reinhart doesn't make sense to me. You listen to the Craig Button interview on GR, but about a month back now. He said, the hardest part about a rebuild is aligning up your veterans with your young guys and closing that gap, right? And it feels like the same with Tage and Middlestat and the defenders coming up and playing well. They finally closed that gap. And it's like now we have in this season with Jack and everybody else in the team getting hurt, it gave Sam the opportunity to play center, and he played super good. And now we have two. And what do you need? What do you need? What does a good, successful NHL team need to be a playoff contender?
Top 2 centers. 2
very good top 2 centers. And you're going to tell me that now we finally have that, and we're going to trade them because they got a little pouty in a press conference? I think there's nothing else to talk about right now. And we're going to push this narrative just for content so we click on our blogs.
The fact is, Eichel could go to Kevin Adams. He could have gone to Kevin Adams weeks ago and say, trade me, I don't want to be here anymore. Mm-hmm. And the Sabres do not have to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
They don't. We said this the last podcast we recorded. I said this. The Sabres hold all the cards. Like, Eichel can be as upset as he wants unless he's going to hold out and not make $10 million this year, which I don't think he's going to do that. I do not think that's the type of person he is. I think he's going to go out there and play angry and be lighting it up so that they'll be more likely to move him, to be honest. I see that being the more likely case than him quitting on the team or just like refusing to play. I think the opposite of Pierre-Luc Dubois happens, where Pierre-Luc goes out and skates and doesn't even take 3 strides. Eichel's going to be like, fine, if you don't want to trade me, watch what I can do. And I don't know. And then obviously winning fixes a lot of things, and that they feel like they might still be a ways away from that. But, you know, the idea that it's being talked about, I think I said this to you today at work, Mikey, it's being talked about that he's already out the door.
Yeah, it's like he's already gone.
And none of that is even true, or, you know.
And you hear like, oh, it's heat. Things are heating up out of Buffalo, but you hear Friedman on Instigators every week, and he only says words, I think, I believe, I hear. Mm-hmm. But then he also said later on in the interview, everything's really quiet out of Buffalo. Like, there's nothing coming out of Buffalo. So what's he hearing? Like, where's it coming from? I don't know. Like, I feel like the uptick in trade rumors is probably Sam and Risto. Rumored to be packaged to Vancouver. That's another big rumor. So I think that's the easier trade to complete here, right? A possible sign and trade with Sam, healthy Sam, mm-hmm. and, you know, a guy with 1 year on his deal with Risto, not a severely injured superstar with an $80 million contract.
Yeah, especially since Reinhart's coming off. If it was a normal year, his pace was for like something like 40 goals. I mean, that would be a more attractive deal right now than trying to trade an injured Jack.
Mm-hmm. Another reason I think it's not Jack related rumors is because if it was a Jack related rumor, it would leak very quickly.
Correct.
That another team was able to look into his medical records. That would come out rather quickly. It's big news. It's hard to contain. I don't know. I feel like it's all a lot of hearsay. I mean,
you've had people say that they've talked to GMs that say they wouldn't trade for Jack right now because there's too many question marks.
Yeah.
Because the cost is going to be so high to trade for him, and you don't know necessarily what you're getting. Once again, could be a smokescreen, but there's got to be some validity to that. That this injury is, no one really knows the nature of it. No one knows how long it's going to last, or if and when it's going to get better. So it's, you know, why are you going to invest heavy capital into trading for a player that has, you know, herniated discs in his neck right now?
Because right now the contract is what, $50 million left on it? 5 years at 10 each?
Might even be more than that, isn't it?
Something like that. I mean, it would be a ridiculous
He's in year
amount.
6. He just finished year 6, so that's right, because he did his 3-year entry-level contract and then an 8-year deal. So that's right, he has 5 years left.
That would be a ridiculous amount to be risking on a guy that may not be able to come back. Some other team might have a Nakposo situation.
Right, and it's not even about even his salary. That's a part of it, too, but you're going to pay a pretty penny to get him. Like, that's the other thing, too. People that are listing these trades about, like, what teams are willing to give up. That's Kevin Adams can hang up the phone on any team. When it was talked about that the Ducks were in on Pierre-Luc Dubois, and apparently Columbus asked about Trevor Zegras, and they told him, no, he's not on the table. So Jarmo hung up the phone. If Kevin Adams is in the talks with the Ducks to trade Jack Eichel or Sam Reinhart, for that matter, and they say so-and-so is not on the table, then Kevin Adams can hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Because Sam is not an unrestricted free agent. Jack has 5 more years under on his contract. Like, that's the beauty that when I keep saying the Sabres hold all the cards, that's not meant to be like, oh, they're lording it over these guys, but it's the reality. These guys, what are they going to do? Not report to camp this year? Mm. I just don't see that happening. Maybe I'm delusional, but I do not see Jack and Sam not reporting
even
to camp.
Even in terms of Sam, Sabres will hold all the cards. He's an RFA. He can go out and sign an offer sheet, right? But the only cards that Sam holds, if they offer him a long-term deal at this point, he's probably not going to take it, right? Sabres offer him a 5-year, $35 million deal. He's probably not going to, at this point, he's not going to want to stick around for 5 years, right? He's going to probably sign a 1-year, prove it to me deal. Mm-hmm. You know, it's probably a 1 year, 6.5. Probably was going to take to sign him again. And then, so that's the only thing I see with Sam is that's his only control is the term. He's not taking a long-term deal right now. I don't see anything past 2. He's going to want to get to UFA
and I don't blame
as soon
him.
as possible. And I don't blame him one bit,
yeah.
right? But like I said, I still go back to what I said earlier. The Sabres finally have top 2, another 1-2 punch. They haven't had that since they stupidly traded O'Reilly. Now they're going to trade both of them away and just start over. That's what you've been that's like you're looking for. It's like when you're a GM, that's the pot of gold you're looking for the entire time. Like you're looking for a 1-2 punch. Like that's your quarterback. You know, not even just those two players are your one quarterback, and you finally found it. And like, oh, you know what? Let's start over with Kirby, Doc, and Dylan Cousins. They're 19. They should be quite all right. Like
even roster amputation.
Take Reinhart off the table, Justin. You look for a franchise center. How many teams in the NHL have a proven number one center like Eichel that shows out on the power play, that is that as talented as he is? Like in Reinhart, you're right. It compounds it that you spend your whole career as a GM begging to find two guys to play down the middle, but most GMs would give a left hand up to have one, and if they only trade Jack in this whole thing and keep Sam, you are still setting yourself back because they tanked to get a center that was going to be the guy to build around, the cornerstone. And it's possible. Is it possible that they trade Eichel and end up with, 3 players and they do what the Canadians are doing? Sure. I'll give that a 1% possibility. Most likely, if you want to be successful, you have to do what Tampa Bay is doing right now and have Braden Point and Steven Stamkos and wingers to play with them. And
then hide a superstar in IR all season long and bring him back?
Yes. they're the greatest $200 million team in the playoffs right now. What is it, 105 or something their cap is or whatever their cap hit in the playoffs is because Kucherov and Stamkos being back. But you understand what I'm saying, though? Like the whole, like I said, one of the things that you spend your whole career looking for as a GM is a center like Jack Eichel. So if Kevin Adams trades him tomorrow, he may spend the rest of his career as a GM, long or short term, trying to find a center of that caliber.
And you think...
Because they don't grow on trees. You can't trade for those guys. Nobody's giving them up.
This might be Adams' only shot at being NHL GM. You think he wants to be the guy that's known for getting pennies on the dollar for Jack Eichel?
That would guarantee that he's only a one-time GM.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go back to that Craig Button interview where he said a number a couple times where if he's interested in quality, right, not pieces. I don't want to have a video game type trade where I'm adding this decent player and this decent player, and we'll toss in another player and a pick just to make it worth it, just pieces, as opposed to 2 very good players and a pick and a high pick. Like, I admit, it really rang true to me. I should have clipped some of this stuff out, but I don't know if we can trouble for that. But
we're saying it pretty clearly,
The fastest turnaround for this team: re-signing Sam for 1 year, keeping Jack. You take that number 1 pick, Owen Power probably, and you swing it for a big top 6 winger. Because I've said it before recently on the pod that Sam's going to stay at center if they keep him. So that means Jack needs a new
winger.
Feature winger.
Yeah. It could be Skinner again. Well, then that means Sam needs a feature winger. I just think the most obvious solution to be to turn around right now and not go back through another rebuild is just trading that pick and getting a very high quality player.
Well, you're also you got to figure this year is being projected as one of the weakest drafts in years in the NHL.
And the Sabres
you also don't know what you have coming out of a lot of these players having, for the most part, having had like a year off or a season off or playing a very shortened season. So I would be comfortable if the Sabres traded that pick.
And two, what seems like more smoke screens to me is that it comes out of Buffalo that the Sabres are operating under the assumption they're going to have 2 top 5 or top 10 picks.
Correct.
And then the next day comes out saying that the Sabres feel that they have more information on players in the draft than other teams, and they feel like that's an advantage to them. After they just fired their entire hockey ops. And it seems like 2 weird new pieces of news coming out of the same place. Like, it seems like a smokescreen. Like they're trying to add value to the pick, saying we're keeping this to try to force more value out of it. That's what it sounds like to me. It could be a conspiracy kind of guy thing, but that's the way I read into it. Because it just kind of came out at a weird time, way too easily, it seems like. And one day after another, that news came out.
I don't care how prepared they feel for this draft, how much scouting they've done, how big or small their hockey ops department is, hockey department is, it's a crapshoot. You don't know.
Yeah.
But when you trade the first overall pick to general managers who way overvalue draft picks in general, let alone the first overall, and you bring in, whomever, insert player here, and you know what you're getting, it's basically like signing a free agent. Now, I know that doesn't always work out. You look at a lot of the free agents that Buffalo and other teams have signed over the years, and it doesn't often work out to be as glorious as you think it would be. But there's an opportunity here. And Craig Button also said, and along with Elliot Friedman, and every one of these top 3 picks is going back to juniors or school. Like Owen Power, Matt Beniers, they're all going back to school. They're not NHL ready yet. So you want to talk about accelerating the rebuild, Justin, I couldn't agree more, because you're going to, what are you hoping to do?
I don't think you're accelerating. You're topping it off.
Sure.
Let's double down on that point about sending them going back to either juniors in school. You don't want, in that same Button interview, you don't want to bring these guys into these situations if they're not ready yet. You don't want to bring a guy that's not NHL ready into Buffalo or Seattle or Anaheim or any of these teams that are drafting top 5.
And they don't need to rebuild. They don't need to bust this team up, because after they fire Kruger, they turned into a good hockey team, or at least a respectable team.
They played better hockey.
Right?
I'll say that.
And they were down their best players. They were down Jack. The most of Grano's tenure, they didn't have Hall because they benched him.
Cousins was hurt
almost the entire time. Nearly. I think he came back the last few games. So, and who was out in defense?
McCabe the whole year.
McCabe
was having his best year. I don't like Jake McCabe, but it's worth noting he was having a phenomenal year when he went down.
We're playing with the team's 7th, 8th, and 19th string goalie.
Was out for a while. Oh, yeah. You had Hauser and who else did you have in goal? I mean,
Tokarski,
Hauser. I mean,
there were games I was watching. They were like, these guys are Eichel away from being dangerous. Is that the right word to say? But
good.
Being good.
And then UPL comes in, and I expected him to get shelled because he was not playing well in the AHL. Comes in, looks very good, and breaks himself. Second NHL game, right? Wasn't it his second game?
I consider him a non-factor right now in the pipeline. He's never healthy. I would trade him while the iron's hot in him, because he hasn't been healthy at any point in his career. Juniors, professional now. I would fire him to the sun and get something for him. I think he's going to have the same issues throughout his whole career.
Nope, he's too young for me to give up on that.
I don't know. The proof's in the pudding for me. He's got soft tissue issues. But
we don't even know what this injury is. Haven't heard a word about it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Not that I'm saying you're wrong or right, but
think of it too. If you're the Sabres trying to hire a top name head coach, possibly, you're Rick Tocchet or
Bruce Boudreau, Torts,
and you're offered a job and you don't know what's going on with Jack Eichel. Do you take the job if you don't have Jack Eichel on your team? Do you take a rebuilding Sabres team that has your top centers are going to be Casey Middlestat, who's still fairly unproven, Dylan Cousins, who I think didn't score the last 20 games or something like that. He did not do well. He played a lot of hockey last year. We'll give him that. And he played a lot of the season injured. But it's just you're gonna have you have the treasure chest, and now you're gonna start over with 2 more 20-year-olds that are still unknowns. Like there's a Zegras or
Byfield
or Byfield or Doc or who. It just seems stupid. And it's honestly, if this team trades Eichel, I think it might be done. That might be it. This team just shows they can't handle superstars. They fucked up the Drew Beer situation, and now a decade later they're gonna fuck up the next 2, Eichel and Reinhart.
Eichel, Reinhart. Well, they also Hall.
Yeah. Well,
I mean that was just a disaster.
Did they fuck up Hall? Was it their fault?
That was just kind of a disaster from go. I think. Yeah. I think it just showed up as. I think we just realized it too late that it was a disaster.
The Hall effect worked. We got the first round pick.
True.
That is kind of weird. Am I wrong?
But I just feel like that Hall kind of came in. He didn't want to carry the team. He didn't want to be one of the guys. He just wanted to basically play with Eichel, get his $8 million, and do whatever.
Score 2 goals.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he wanted to be one of the top couple guys on this team, which for $8 million you need to be.
Listen, I'm just mad because before the season started, I was quoted more than once saying, this group of wingers could score 100 goals. Looking at Taylor Hall, Sam Reinhart, Victor Olofsson, and Jeff Skinner.
Yeah.
They did not score 100 goals as a team.
Remember my coldest take of the season? Remember we sat here before the season or the first week, and I was arguing with you guys about the Islanders not being that good. They're a pretty good hockey team.
They're really good.
They're good. They don't even need stars.
Semifinals.
They don't need them.
Yeah, they're just a well-coached team. They play as a team. They got Barzell. He's a star, I guess.
Yeah, but he was silent for the first series, remember?
Yeah.
He didn't do shit in the first series for them at all. He's woken up since, but...
They're getting shit pumped right now, 4-0.
But who would have given them 2 wins in the series? Same thing with Montreal. Everyone was already wondering who Vegas was going to play in the next round.
I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be upset per se if the Sabres trade Sam. Because you still have Middlestat.
Because you don't like Sam.
You still, I don't. Sam changed when he got put to center, and then he was the feature piece, and he was producing night in night out at center. He really changed my mind. I would like to have him. I've been saying for the past 2 seasons on this team, Sam Reinhart at center fixes a lot of this team's problems.
Damn right, you have been saying that.
And they did it last year, and it worked. And now they have it. Just keep it going. Middlestat and Tage Thompson coming in and doing what they did under Granato really kind of like help turn the ship a bit. Because that is like, what else do we have? There's not much in the pipeline right now in terms of forward talent. But them turning around last year really changed the outlook, I feel like. Now you just need another top piece.
Well, then you got Ruotsalainen, who's...
Oh my God, Ruotsalainen.
He's fitting into a middle 6 slot on that team.
Borgen, Bryson, Samuelsson, all of them were fine. None of them were great, but they were fine. Samuelsson played well. A lot of people believe Samuelson's AHL career is over because he played well enough to you didn't hear his name much, which is the cliche on a defenseman that it's a good thing when you don't hear their name.
The only thing I don't like about Bryson is he's so undersized. Then he gets pushed off the puck easily for a defenseman.
He's such a good skater, though.
But yeah,
he's such a good skater.
He has bad games for sure. But he's still young.
Yeah, I think that whole group. I think the oldest one you mentioned was Samuelsson at 21.
Is it? Is Will Borgen older than that? I think
maybe Borgen. Okay,
because Borgen's been in the pipeline for a while. But yes,
I missed you mentioning him, but.
Because he got hurt. Remember, he was playing really fucking well and broke his arm. Remember?
Yeah.
He was playing really well and he got literally broken and didn't play for 2 months or something.
Literally broken.
Yeah, Borgen is 24. He's ancient. In the Sabres terms, he's ancient.
Yeah.
But he's a big boy and he likes to throw the body, and he was playing really well under Kruger, and he was actually like a bright spot on the team. And of course he got hurt, just like everyone else on this team. I never have liked Jake McCabe at his time in Buffalo. He's a great kid. He seems like a nice guy. Was good in the World Juniors. I think he's terrible with the puck on his stick. And he had a phenomenal season this year, and he tore every ligament in his knee. Like, he was playing so well. You want to talk about like those 10 games that they started the season like 4-4-2 and look good. He was a big part of that. Him and Risto were shutting teams down. And of course he gets hurt. And that's an injury that is so overshadowed by like Eichel and all the other things going sideways. Like, that's your top pair right there. That's your shutdown pair, and you lose half of it. And Risto still played fine, in my opinion. A lot of people were coming around on Risto saying things that we've been saying all along about him because I thought he had a good year. But this team just plagued by injuries, and if it wasn't injuries, it was COVID, and if it wasn't that, it was a bad coach, and if it wasn't that, it was...
they weren't bad until they got COVID. They were terrible.
They're 4-4-2.
Yeah, and
then going into their COVID break, they were 4-4-2.
They just shit the bed after COVID.
Yes. They never recovered from that, but it's weird. Like you looked at other teams and people were like, COVID messes with your body. New Jersey came out of the COVID break and won like 5 straight.
Yeah,
they just absolutely lit people up after their little COVID break. So I don't know. We sit here every year in the off season with our, I won't say limitless optimism, but I still feel I want to trust Kevin Adams that if for some reason we're way off base and Eichel is getting traded, it is a trade that will make this team good still.
Or the next decade of this team.
I almost said make this team better, but I don't know that any trade would make this team better. Unless you're getting back a number 1 center, which nobody trades. Nobody trades Austin Matthews. Nobody trades Steven Stamkos. Nobody trades, you get guys traded like Ryan Johansson. he's technically a number one center between Arvidsson and Forsberg, but he's nowhere. He's not a superstar like that.
He's not that franchise center.
Correct.
No, we've literally seen Eichel single-handedly win games.
Yeah, he scored all 4 goals in that Ottawa game 2 years ago. I was there. They won like 4-2, and he iced it with the empty netter, and he scored all 4 goals.
Yeah,
literally won the game for his team against a bad Ottawa team. He had to carry him.
And if you're trading him right now, you're trading him for 75 cents to the dollar, right? Like.
You've been saying that forever, and then Marty Biron you must have talked to him because on the Instigators this week he was like, "You're not going to trade Jack Eichel for 80 cents on the dollar." I rewound it for you to listen to in the office. You're like, "This is what I was saying." I'm like, "I know."
I looked him into his magnificent eyes.
Yeah,
and he repeated, "I know."
So he actually told you that, and you just stole it from him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's burned it in my brain with his eyes.
So now my other question about this team, maybe bigger. What are they going to do in goal? Like,
that's a question,
why is Allmark not signed yet? Because, unrestricted free agency hasn't started yet, but soon.
It's a month away.
Mid-July.
Right?
Yeah, mid-July, I think.
I think it's July 28th.
That might be right. It's usually July 1st.
I was looking up the other day.
They're still going to be playing July 1st. So
it's after the draft.
Yeah.
Which is July 21st, I believe. I looked up the other day when we were talking.
The draft is the 23rd and 24th.
Yes. And I believe, I'm about 95% positive that free agency is the 28th.
So, I got to pump your tires one more time.
Oh, gosh.
You were like, why are the Sabres going to trade Jack Eichel when all 32 teams are not involved?
Yeah.
And who was it? Was it on Friday? Drager was like, there's still 4 teams playing, and they can't make a trade for Jack Eichel. And if you're the Sabres GM, why would you not hear from every possible team?
It's like I can read the future.
And it's true. Like, I'm not saying that Tampa Bay is waiting to trade for Jack Eichel, but.
Yeah, how is Tampa Bay going to pull a trade like that?
They just need him to hang out on long-term IR for 9 months.
Yeah,
he's the perfect trade bait.
Injury.
Yeah, this is it, guys. You figured it out.
Maybe this isn't.
They're going to trade Victor Hedman, Andrei Vasilevsky, and Nikita Kucherov to Buffalo for Jack Eichel. You heard it here first. And then Eichel can sit on long-term IR, and then he'll play in the playoffs and win a cup with Tampa Bay.
Styles are struggling.
He'll be scoring the 5th goal of the game against the Islanders, Andre Palat. But a goal so they literally do not have a goaltender signed on the roster. I am not listening to Sikorsky or Hauser. People are all fired up because they had a couple of good games. No, that was a good story, right? It was a great story when Michael Hauser made 45 saves and won in a shootout and played out of his skull for 2 games. Played well against Pittsburgh too. But those this team either needs Linus Allmark or a different UFA. I got into it with Derek about Allmark that it's going to cost you, I think, 5.5. And I think that's the right move. But don't forget, Allmark has every right to wait until July, whatever, and see what's out there. It could be a situation where he takes less money to play somewhere if he thinks he has an opportunity to succeed. I
think it's going to take the Sabres 6 to keep him out of free agency.
Yep.
Because he's if you're Allmark, the way he talked in his season-ending presser is like he does not know whether he's gonna come back here, or if he should.
Yeah.
And I think the way it sounded is going to take the Sabres at least 6 to keep him from going to free agency.
So then do it right now.
Well, I can see where both sides are kind of frustrated in the situation, though. I mean, I can understand how he's not happy with the Sabres not having committed to him for a term, but he's also been injured a lot over the last few years. So it's like neither team is really in this position where they want to be because the other side kind of has something against them.
If he's healthy last season, there's no question they're inside the 24 team.
Oh, for sure.
Playoff.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
No doubt. He was keeping them in games and playing very well, and but that's just it. We had our tongue in our cheek when we're like, oh, he's hurt. That's $1 million off the AAV, but is this an instance where some team is going to pay him? Is there a team out there where someone is going to pay him $6.5 million because they need a goalie and they want him to do it? If Colorado loses Grubauer, right, to free agency because they can't afford to keep him, and Grubauer, because he's a Vezina candidate, wants 8 or 9, what stops them from calling Linus for 6 or 7?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
So here's what I think happened. I think Seth Jones probably wants out of Columbus.
He said he won't re-sign, but he has a year left on his deal, so he's not a free agent yet.
I think Ristolainen wants out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think you see Risto for
Merzlikins.
Elvis
Merzlikins.
Maybe a pick on that way to finish that deal off.
Didn't he name Buffalo as a situation he didn't want to end up in?
Yeah, but if you trade, and that's the kind of thing. Like Adam says, he wants players that want to play here. Does that automatically eliminate him from that? I don't know. It's going to be such a weird. Like, we have to trust Kevin Adams. Like, we have no signed goalies. We're in pass with 2 of our star players. They need to add a top 6 winger. If they need to add another top 4 defender, and they probably need to buy out Okposo.
They have cap space. That's the thing. Like they do, but they don't. We talked about this. That they have $38 million available right now, but you sign back Sam. You sign a goalie. It's like all of a sudden
they also got to re-sign Dahlin.
Yeah, right. So you sign Dahlin.
Oh, that's right.
You sign Dahlin, Reinhart, and a goaltender. And you no longer have $30 million in cap space. You have significantly less.
You're down possibly near single digits.
Let's see. Reinhardt's getting 6.5
at least. If it's a 1-year deal, sure.
Darlene's getting
5,
4 a bridge, 4.5 for 2 years,
sure,
maybe.
Sure, keep him in RFA. Yeah.
So there's 12. No, there's 13.
And then whatever you're paying a goaltender.
And then you're paying a goaltender at least 5.
Yep.
So there's 18. What else are we missing? We've done 20. You got to replace McCabe.
Yep.
Maybe
they're
him.
thin. Like they don't have bodies either. Like, don't worry, Zembis Girgensons will be back though.
Great, good.
Getting paid like $5 million or something.
Was it 2.1?
It's like $20 million. It might as well be. But they have cap room, but they don't, and that's They tried with free agents. People that want to lambaste Kevin Adams for last year, I won't hear it because he tried with Riley Sheehan, Cody Eakin. He brought in players. I think he really did try to revitalize that bottom 6 with guys, being brought in, and it didn't work for the most part. But I don't know. They're in a funny spot. Like, if they weren't such a bad team, you might be really excited about this offseason because of how much cap space they have and the potential they have in front of them. But they've been so bad for so long. They don't earn the benefit of the doubt from anybody. The players on their roster, the media, or the fans. Nobody's giving them the benefit of the doubt.
They could bring in Stamkos. They could bring in Matthews. They could bring in every top player that you can name, and somehow everything will still go wrong.
It feels like
that's the way that it's been going the last 10 years.
I mean, they drafted high, didn't matter. They signed the top free agent in Kyle Okposo, didn't matter. They made the trade for Ryan O'Reilly. They've tried
Jeff
everything.
Skinner.
They've exhausted a lot of options trying to get good, and there's just got to be something there's got to be something that's holding them back, and I would love to think that Granato has the key to unlock that. And he alluded to it multiple times in his press conferences throughout the year, telling guys like, you're good at this. Like, don't be afraid to go make a play because you're a professional hockey player. And I trust you. And when he tells Dylan Cousins to go out there and play against Sidney Crosby and he scores on his first shift, he sets up a goal, like wins the faceoff against Crosby and scores, 12 seconds into the game, he had an apple. Like, he's unlocking some things for sure.
I want to see him. I want to see him unlock Jack if he needs unlocking. If there's another gear there, like, Jack, just go shoot.
If Jack has
swing
another
for the fences.
If Jack has another gear, he's going to get 110 or so points in the season.
He's capable. I definitely think he's capable. He's a point per game player this past season with playing the fucking broken rib.
Yep, and the hernia disc in his neck.
Yeah.
And we all knew something was off too.
You could tell.
We all knew it, and he had 18 points in 20 games.
But everyone goes, he doesn't want to be here.
I don't want to hear anybody say, "Oh, but he only had 2 goals." He still had 18 points in 21 games, which is good. Which means he set up 18 goals.
The power play fell to shit when he got hurt.
Oh, they were lost without him.
Fell to shit.
You know what? The only thing that improved it was putting Risto out front again.
Yeah,
when they had Risto in front of the net,
they were a decent power play away from being a fair team with Granato. Right? Like, they had power play chances like 5-6 a night. They're just going to bury anything because they didn't have the threats. But when having Risto and having Eichel and Olsen on opposite wings is such a weapon. And you got Dahlin at the point. Oh my God. How do you defend that? It's just so dumb to trade the guy. Because, the only thing that makes sense to me, I said it to you, Steve, the only thing that makes sense for this trade to be moving along so quickly is Terry's angry about what he said in the press conference, and he's pushing him out of here like he did O'Reilly. That's what I think that's what happened here. Terry pushed him out. He's mad at what he said, pushed him out, And Terry has reason to believe it'll work because they did it with the Bills. They pushed out all those star players that didn't want to be here per se, and they got good. So they've done it before with the Bills, and that's scary for me. The only reason this happens,
because it was luck.
It was kind of luck, yes.
If you
that's
didn't
kind of
have
what I'm getting at.
McDermott and Beaton, it's luck. It doesn't happen.
But old rich guy mindset, I did it before, do it again, right? You know what I mean?
And I won't stop messing with it until
I get it right. Yeah, and that's what scares me. But the only reason that this trade is moving along this fast, if it is because Terry's saying, "Get him out of here."
Yeah,
which is possible, but I just like you're in the game to get the two centers pretty much, and you got them. You fucking had they're there. They're on. You own them literally. They own their rights, and you have them now. You're gonna take them both and start over with two new guys, and possibly, like I said, Doc, Zegras, Byfield, Cousins. See, these guys are still their top end prospects, but they're still unknowns. Mm-hmm. One of them might be good, but they're not gonna be Jack Eichel. Two of them, even if one and a half of them, is not going to equal Jack Eichel.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you get two guys that are as good as Jack. You know.
Yeah. It just seems dumb.
Production wise, like I got into it with someone about Pasternak, and they were like, "Oh, Pasternak's a better player than Eichel." I said, "No, he's not." Well, look at all the goals he gets. I'm like, he's a better goal scorer, but he skates with Marchand and Bergeron. But Eichel is a better hockey player. He's a better skater. He's a better power play quarterback. He's a better, a center. He plays the game better. I know that he could play power play and penalty kill. And Pasta's a great player, and I'm not saying that, but people don't want to hear. They look at how many goals are scored.
Yeah, it's all points.
Yeah, Pasta's skating on maybe the best line in hockey, arguably. I mean, you could put them up there with McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog, but they call it the perfection line or whatever. The Pasta, Marchand, and Bergeron, yeah. So yes, you're right. Pasternak scores way more goals than Jack Eichel, but put Jack Eichel with Bergeron and Pasta on either side of Marchand and Pasta, he'd have 1,000 points a year. But
that would be nightmare fuel.
I'm just so tired of people dogging on Eichel as if he is the problem here, as if he's the reason that this team hasn't been successful, as if they know that he doesn't want to be here. Nobody knows that. I don't know. Not saying it's right or wrong, just people speaking like they know when they don't. It's almost like there are people who are experts who speak on things as if they know and they don't know any more than me or you.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's called when you're very confident but very dumb about it?
I have a lot of words to choose, but I'm not going to say I'm on a podcast.
If you're
Dunning-Kruger.
If you're L.A. Freeman, if you're any hockey insider, if you're any hockey blogger, what's going to get you clicks right now?
Correct. What's
going to get you attention? That's the biggest news of the offseason. Yep. It's just all being created because of the press conference. When have you ever seen, what's that asshole's name? Yahoo, ESPN. Wyshynski. When did you ever see him at a Sabres press conference? He was on the two of them after the Eichel original press conference. Because it's just news. It's like you have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to talk about. You create it. Yep. And I just feel like it's just all clickbait at this point. There's nothing else to talk about.
The thing on the other side of it, though, is when I listen to the instigators, they act like they don't know. They're like, we don't know anything. They know. Come on. They know. There's no way they don't. You mean to tell me they don't have so many contacts within the Sabres organization, players, and they know? I'm not saying that Jack's gone, but they're like, oh, we don't know anything. And they talk to Elliot Friedman and Darren Drager, and the reality is Petey and Rivs and Marty probably know more about the situation than Frieds and Drager do.
Yeah, they just probably can't say anything about it.
Yeah, I've in other way smaller, less important circles, I know things that have happened around organizations, but I'll never say it.
And they can't say that they don't know, that they can't say they know something about it, but they can't say anything about it, too.
If you're like me and you have, I guess we could use the word anxiety about the Eichel being traded thing. If you don't want to be traded in it and you think it's going to happen, go back to May 17th in the Instigators audio vault. Find the Craig Button interview. It's very calming. It's the most level-headed interview on the entire thing I've heard in these past 2 months. It was quite good.
And he's a former NHL
GM.
Unlike Friedman and Drager. I mean, those guys know their stuff, don't get me wrong, but he is a former NHL GM. and his perspectives
very
were
calming,
were refreshing for someone like me.
Made me feel a lot better on that day about this whole situation.
We were listening to it at the same time at work. I had it in my earbuds. You had your laptop open. You were doing some receiving stuff, and we were talking to each other. Like, did you hear what he said? Yeah, it was really good. Then we recorded that night. We literally recorded that night all fired up, jazzed up about what Craig Button
Do I
had to
think
say.
it's weeks away? No. There's still 4 teams playing hockey that I might want to be in. That you might want to at least talk to.
I think it's a deadline deal or an off-season deal next off-season. I just don't know why you do it now.
I don't even think it's a deadline deal. I think it's an off-season deal.
No, I think if they get to the trade deadline this year and they're 10-30, I think it's very possible.
And maybe the talks start. Maybe the talks start now, and goes and maybe that happens at the deadline.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like cause his limited trade clause kicks in July
off-season.
1 next year.
Correct.
Right? So what's the rush?
Yep.
If you're Eichel, you don't want to be traded right now.
Yeah.
You control more of it next year.
Correct.
Right?
You can list the teams that you do and do not want to be traded to. I don't know what the conditions
So
of
when
this limited
when
are.
he says when he's in his press conference, he says, wherever, or I just want to play hockey, or wherever that may be. That's the only card in his hand, right? That's all he's got.
Yep.
Because the team literally has all of his rights, unless he goes and files the
grievance
with the Players
medical
Association.
grievance. Yep.
That's all. It's also, but he's not even guaranteed to win that.
Nope.
His only card is to force the Sabres' hand, and he's not forcing them to trade him. He's forcing them to make him look
to
bad.
figure it out. Yeah.
To put not to make him look bad per se, but to put the heat on him
Yeah.
was
to
what I
make
wanted
them
to say.
figure it out, guys. Figure this out because I'm
Make
disgruntled.
some move,
Right.
whether it's improve the team, do something that visibly improves the team that has a high chance of working, or move him. Yeah, it's pushing it. It's pushing them. It's not necessarily forcing them to trade him.
And if you're a fan that's mad at Jack being disgruntled about the situation of this team, pound sand because he has every right.
Why
to
would?
be.
Why would anybody?
Yeah.
It's be one thing if he was out there collecting the paycheck, being lazy. It's the opposite. I watch him, heart and soul guy. The same guy that crushed a beer and was like, "Buffalo, I'm coming for you." He's still that guy.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be the part of the thing that turns it around. He was all along. Like he had the pride or the bravado or the stupidity to be like, "I'm going to Buffalo and I'm going to fix it." Hopefully he does. And this is the last thing that I have about this is it all is better if halfway through this year they're in fucking third place in the division and competing for a playoff spot in a really tough division. If they find a way to be good, this all goes away. This all evaporates.
We said that with the Bills for the longest time. How do you fix it? Winning solves everything.
Yeah. And it sounds like the cheap answer, like people talk about game presentation and stuff like that. The cheap answer, quote unquote, is the right answer. If they find a way to be a good team, like I watched so many games last year, regardless of how bad or good they were. And I was the one egging people on to watch a game. I'm like, they're playing a different style of hockey now. Like they're making stretch passes. They're getting up the ice. They're not panicking in their own end. They're playing more exciting hockey. And I was trying to get people to watch and watch a game because it was different. And now give me this team with Eichel back and Cousins healthy and whatever else. And Granato back too. Fine. Like I want to see it.
Yeah.
Watch. It would be must watch for me.
You get a respectable second line now, Reinhart playing center and whoever else, and then you're taking heat off Eichel again.
And
right?
you
You're
have a third line with Mitz and Tage.
Yeah. They got the pieces. It's there. They've literally fallen into place. And I was like, fuck it. We're just gonna fuck it. Start it over. They don't have do they have the prospects? Do they have the prospects to rebuild again? Do they?
No, but that would be trading Eichel for 7 prospects.
But if you're trading Eichel, you're not getting Trevor Zegras. Hang up.
Yeah, click.
If you're, the only trade I'm gonna be happy with, if that happens, is if it's to the Kings and they get Byfield. That's the only trade I'll be okay with.
Byfield and.
Byfield and,
Because
yes.
I'm not settling 1 for 1 at all.
No. I'm not
that.
going Byfield in the first round pick. I'm going Byfield.
Turcotte. And a first. Then we'll talk.
Yes. That's what it's going to take.
I don't care. Because if that's not what the deal is, fuck off.
Yeah.
Because we have his rights and we have him for 5 more years and we don't have to trade
And you
him.
know what? You Sabres, you leaked that out. That's the deal. And it's on the table and you got 48 hours to accept it. And you know why you leak it out? Because you want Drew Doughty to get wind of it. Right? You're going to give me Jack Eichel for 2 guys who are not going to be in the team for 2 seasons? Fuck yeah. Like, Doughty wants to win now. Remember he was saying that at the end of his end of year presser? You're making a deal with the Kings, and you're leaking it. So it gets out to Drew Doughty. You're putting heat on the Kings from inside the locker room. Right? Am I wrong? Tell me.
He said outside the locker room, these prospects are nice, but I want to win.
Yeah.
We are not going to win with them right now.
Yeah, but you're putting heat on the Kings from inside their own room.
Yep.
That's what I would do if I was
all the agents know each other. You mean to tell me Doughty's agent's not calling, what's his name, Fish or whatever his name is for Jackson? It's all social networked. Their guys know his guys. Like
a lot of it's Fish talking to Friedman. Hey, float this out here.
Yeah.
Start blowing smoke at this area. Get a conversation going. That's not all this.
And I'm never mad about players controlling things. Like the NBA is the biggest proponent of that players control who goes where more than GMs and agents. But I love it. Like I'm good with it. It's the players are who you're there to see. I'm
going to say for the last time. I've said it 4 times already. It just seems dumb to trade both these players right now. Because you could do it next year. You sign Sam for 1 year, and it's not working. You got the deadline.
Yep.
You're still going to get a good piece for him.
You just pray that he's scoring at a pace close to what he did this year and get some good value for him.
And then if it doesn't work with Eichel, you still have to trade him before the clause kicks in.
Yep.
Nothing has to be done right now. It's everybody on the interwebs that wants to see, as Mike says, roster amputation. They just want to see change. And we saw Granato had the keys to this car. He had the engine, the new oil. That shit was humming. And they just needed Eichel.
It wasn't totally humming, but it was sounding a lot better.
Well, and one of the things that would happen under Granato is they'd get pumped in a game and play the same team 24 hours later and beat them.
Yeah.
Instead of, the Philadelphia series under Kruger when they lost both games and got shut out. Remember? They played two matinees. They didn't even score a goal. They lost like 7-0 and 4-0. Like, just pathetic. With Granato, we mentioned all the time, after they lost, you could tell he was mad.
He was pissed.
And he would handle it, and the next day they'd go out and fucking
Kruger.
win.
Well, it's hard to get shots in this thing.
Shots will come.
Shots will come.
Shots will come.
We just got to remember the things we got to do to get shots. Not Granato. He was fucking tight. Mm-hmm. And it's just so weird they haven't hired a coach yet.
Because it's going to be Granato. The longer this goes, the more it has to be.
Yeah.
And because when I hear even the experts talk about it, like that the Sabres are talking to coaching candidates to learn about themselves. What would make you excited to coach? Yeah, what would make you excited to coach here? What would make you tentative to coach here? And then you take those as constructive criticisms and you hand them all to Donnie. Hand them all to Donnie Meatballs and say, here's what people think about us and here's where we're at. And, it's valuable to... someone like Bruce Boudreau is not going to say anything in an interview to try to get hired. He's going to be honest. Mm-hmm. Bruce Boudreau does not need to sell you anything to hire him. So if he says
his regular season record should sell itself.
8 division wins, 8 division titles. If you sit him down and he's like, look, your superstars are disgruntled. You guys don't have a direction for your roster. If you're not figuring it out, I'm not interested. Then the Sabres can be like, wow, that's a
Have they talked to Boudreau? I know they talked to Tocchet.
I don't know.
They not even much coming. They talked to the European guy. Talked to the one
Quinn, the guy from the Rangers.
They talked to Quinn?
I believe so. I mean, supposedly they've been interviewing a bunch of people. They interviewed. Come on. Oh, they wanted the guy Capuano. Is that his name from Ottawa? And they refused.
They refused him. Yeah.
And
Ottawa refused the permission.
Yeah. Which is also dumb.
Do you want to keep beating this drum?
No, I feel good. Like, listen, I don't know how many people are hearing this, and if you want to light us up on the social media, please do. But I mean, what we are not in this room is emotionally driven, because if we were, it would be fucking blow it all up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because there were countless games we text each other like, fucking hate this team right now.
Yeah.
Like, they are just so obnoxious. Like, what are they doing? But we love them. But it's not the emotion of like, just throw up your hands. It's like, no, we see that there's other options besides trading your 2 best players to be a good hockey team. How do you become a better team than you were this year? Trade your 2 best players. Great idea, but no, let's look in a different avenue, right? And when you break it down that way, like, there's some objectivity to it. And I will say this one more time. If Jack and Sam pound down Kevyn Adams' door and say, trade us, we don't want to be here, they don't have to trade either one of them. Go out and play 25 games, win 17 of them, and everything changes.
Yeah. And then they do that every season, though. For the past two seasons. I agree. Like, it's exactly it. Like, neither player needs to be traded. You might get more for Sam right now, maybe,
because he had such a good year. Yeah,
and you have the ability to sign and trade. But even the other seconds, you have the same ability to do it's a deadline deal. I guess that happens sometimes, right? But yeah, they're not going to get traded, and if they are, fuck me. Then I'm wrong.
Then we go back to the drawing board, and
then I'll sit here disgruntled and searching for my new favorite hockey team.
And then game 1 will start October 2nd, and we'll be glued to the TV,
dialed in,
rooting for Dylan Cousins on the top line center. Like, yeah,
cheering on fucking
Kirby Doc.
Fucking who's going to be our goalie next year? I think it was some middle ass name.
Freddie Anderson.
Oh, please no.
I do like Byfield, man. That dude's 6'4" and just fucking moves.
He's a monster. He's a great skater.
The only trade I'm happy with is that Byfield's in it. That's it. No, nobody else. I don't want Zegras. I want Byfield. That's all.
Yep.
Can I just take a moment to say that I love Vegas's home jerseys? I like that gray color for their home jerseys.
Yeah, it looks nice. I'm not a fan of the gold helmets, though.
No, I don't like that, but I do love the gray jerseys.
But you know what speaking of Vegas, you know it's going to be populated in downtown Vegas soon? It's their brand new football stadium.
The Death Star. Doom, 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 doom.
Trying to segue us here into the Bills stadium reports. What do you guys think of the Bills, the reports coming out about the Bills stadium? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What would you do if you don't like it?
Well, I'm scrolling through Thad Brown's timeline to find his actual tweet announcing the plans for the Bills stadium. So you guys need to fill a little bit of airtime here until I find it.
I've seen people saying, like, downtown or bust. If it's not downtown, it's a complete failure.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, it would be great to have a stadium downtown. It would pump. It would be a shot into the arm of the city.
It would be nice. It would create kind of a little mini stadium district. I mean, with the Bison's baseball field and then the arena and then a stadium.
There's just that infrastructure is not ready for 70,000
No, it
people.
is not.
That's what I'm trying to get to. You can't put a stadium downtown. You can't leave that city. You can't leave downtown Buffalo when there's 19,000 coming out of a Sabres game, and most of them take the subway.
You can barely leave when there's a small Bandits crowd, maybe like 13,000. Yeah. It's still difficult to leave.
Even a Biden's game is not hard. It's not easy to leave. You got 6,000 people at the Biden Stadium, or what's it called now, Salem Field. And
here's your tweet. Confirmed to News 8. Bills are planning a new open-air stadium in Orchard Park, could be done by 2025. With the lease expiring on the current building in 2023, playing away from Buffalo for a season or two is a possibility. That's clickbait.
Let's talk about that.
Nobody wants to... No, that's never happening, but...
What?
Them playing away from Buffalo for 2 years.
What else do they play?
Well, he's saying with their stadium lease up, they might not be in Buffalo for 2 years.
Yeah, but where else would they play?
St. John Fisher, hello. I'm totally kidding.
The one I've heard is Beaver Stadium, home of Penn State.
Yeah, the rumors are Penn State or Toronto.
Poo-poo on both of those. Fuck both of those ideas.
Yeah,
Penn State's too far for your normal Bills fan because that's way out there, isn't it? That's on the other side of Pennsylvania, right?
I'd rather.
And Toronto just
the border
Toronto
won't be
series,
open.
I'm sorry, but also the Toronto series. Apparently, I've heard that the viewing those games there suck.
Yeah. Field stunk. The views sucked.
They're playing at Rogers Center, the Sky Dome, the baseball park.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you feel the need to put it in a college, why not look at Syracuse? Because
let's talk about the stadium being done by 2025. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna sit there and just feed these guys fucking meth for fucking 3 years? Like, that is the fastest I've ever seen a stadium built. Like, you'd have to start tomorrow, and these guys are hopped up on fucking amphetamines for the fucking entire time. Am I wrong? That's
they're getting a mobile. They're bringing it in on trailers and putting it together like fucking Legos. It's prefabricated.
Yeah, it's a prefab stadium.
Yeah, prefabricated stadium.
You just got Jesse Pinkman and Walter White in an RV in the middle of a fucking construction site, just slinging meth out there. That'd be a really fast build, right? It'd be a lot of destruction to get the construction going, right? And then I don't know.
Well, one of the things I've heard is something they've done with a few stadiums, both like, for example, in Cincinnati with the baseball stadiums or with the MetLife Stadium, is build it right next to the old stadium. That way you can use the old stadium up until the new stadium opens, then destroy the old stadium and use that for parking.
Yeah, but maybe it's not financially viable for them to renew a lease for 2 years. That's what
Probably
that was
not.
my first thought. Like, why would, if they're going to build it next to it, they're going to build it next to it, across from it, or where it is now. They're going to destroy it and just build it back up.
Well, across from it kind of is a little bit of a problem because where on ECC's campus are you going to put a stadium?
Yeah, I'm not even privy to the space down there, right? So it's going to be next to it or where it is. So maybe that's why, because they're going to blow it up and just redo it. It's going to be underground again, or they're going to fill it in the hole.
They're just going to put it on top. It's actually going to fit inside of the current stadium. It'll just plug right in. It's like
they're just going to rebuild the current stadium with the fucking half dome.
Yeah. Yep.
This is what they're going to do.
I'm not mad that it's open air at all. People are big on the dome. I get it. Like, it might benefit Josh Allen, whatever. I have been to so many Bills games throughout the drought where it was snowing sideways and freezing cold, and I love it, and it's a memory, and I'm all about it.
So, do either of you know the answer to this question? Because I read this today. How many dome teams have won Super Bowls?
Indy has. New Orleans has. Houston has not. Minnesota has not. Arizona has with Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner won with the Rams. He never won with Arizona. Arizona lost to Pittsburgh. So 2. Indy and New Orleans.
3.
Atlanta hasn't.
St. Louis.
The Rams, but they're not in existence right now.
But technically,
they have
to. Technically, you have to count them.
Buffalo Bills won the AFC Championship in 1960 then, too. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, three times a dome team has won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I was right with Kurt Warner. So I did technically have all 3. Not really, because I said Arizona. But I tried.
Fair point, Mike.
Yeah.
Why give the Bills a dome?
Well,
if dome teams don't win the Super Bowl, don't give the Bills a dome.
The Meadowlands hosted the Super Bowl, so if that's your argument, I know that's a different point, but like, oh, we're never going to host a Super Bowl. Buffalo's never going to host a Super Bowl anyway. There's 3 hotels in Orchard Park. It's never going to happen. You get off that pipe dream, and I don't care. I don't need a Super Bowl here. When the Bills go to the Super Bowl in Miami, I'll fucking go. I don't need to be in Buffalo in January. It's an excuse to go down south.
Where it's like 70 and sunny instead of blizzard.
The one thing that I heard, though, and I guess it really doesn't matter because it's not something that we've needed in our entire existence, is if it was a retractable roof or if it was a dome, it could host more venues throughout the year, or more events, throughout the year. And I get it. Like right now, the stadium's used 5 times a year for something other than a football game. I saw U2 there. They didn't even come close to selling out. But like,
then you got the high school football finals.
Yeah, but I mean, just like concerts and stuff that you could attract to there. But, what, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't matter to me. Like, I get it, but we've made it this long without having 20 concerts a year at that venue. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, and I'm glad that I wouldn't have hated it downtown, but there was no way to make it work. I like it in Orchard Park because of what it represents. Like, you go to Orchard Park, you're tailgating someone's backyard. Like, that's part of it. Like, I went with one of my good friends, what I used to work with, and his wife's dad, who passed away, had a lot that he always parked in, and his Bills RV is there, and they still tailgate there. Like, his Bills RV just sits there 24/7. They use it for cooking. They go inside, whatever. Like, there's stuff in there. But that's the lot that they tailgate in, and they've been season ticket holders forever, and it's like, you lose that if it's downtown. You don't get to park an RV somewhere and leave it. You don't get to tailgate in some. I paid $50 to park in someone's backyard for that Monday night game against New England when Thurman Thomas was inducted into the ring of the Wall of Fame rather. They paid $50 to park in someone's backyard. But that's part of the experience. Like, it was awesome. We met all of our friends there. We brought coolers. It just doesn't exist downtown.
Where do you put it down there?
This is my honest thought. When I was a kid, 12 years old or so, and I was in Toronto in the CN Tower, I was literally watching trucks dumping dirt into the water. I'm like, what are they doing? He's like, they're expanding the landmass. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, on the canal, like,
just expanding it,
literally like dropping dirt into the canal and building on it. Like,
how many drunk people drown at a stadium
I
down
don't
there?
mean that oh my goodness. But that's honestly like, it would have to be like, it'd have to be accessible from all directions. You know, it can't be in the middle of downtown. Like, it just doesn't work. There's not enough infrastructure. You need to have the Skyway ripped out and build a stadium access road and put it somewhere remote. You know what I mean? Like, put it off the beaten path of downtown Buffalo and build a 5-lane access road. Like, this is me talking out of my ass, but that's essentially what it would take.
Road offers.
That's what it would have
already,
to take. Yeah,
right?
That's what, and it doesn't work well.
And then the Pagools are gotta fucking pay all this they don't gotta break ground for new roads and new on ramps. That's a lot of money that the Pagools are gonna have to front, and taxpayers, right?
Yep.
And then half the town already hates the Pagools because of Sabres. Unfortunately, I like the Pagools.
Me too.
I'm sorry. They saved my favorite hockey team. That I will forever be grateful.
And their money revitalized downtown Buffalo.
Oh yeah,
Harbor Center revitalized downtown Buffalo more than any political
100%.
move could have ever done.
100%. All of a sudden, the canal side takes off. Everything else, right?
It's funny what $170 million in private money can do.
Damn, what is going on with the Islanders?
They just scored the extra point.
Just tapped out. But 100%, this stadium's going to an OP, and why it's infrastructure. I went to this air show over the weekend with 5,000 people, and I was trapped downtown for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Down Furman Boulevard. Like, there's just no way, no good way in, no good way out.
And the amount of space you would need for parking, you don't have enough parking down there right now.
Yeah.
You don't have anywhere close to enough parking for 70,000 people.
Not even close. Not even.
Parking's bad downtown even when you don't have an event going on.
Just finding a spot to park is a bitch.
If you just want to walk around anywhere, it's just like,
doesn't exist. Yep.
Is that a bummer? It's not going downtown? 100%.
Oh, right. It would be awesome to have the Buffalo Bills playing in downtown Buffalo.
It just can't.
There's no way.
Yeah, you also lose that tailgate culture that this area has downtown.
I went to a Steelers game, and theirs is like in the middle of downtown.
Yep, I've been there.
And this parking was really weird. And they had to walk really far away and paid like $60 for this little lot that was not very close and couldn't really tailgate in. It was like a regular parking lot. There was no room to play catch, no room to like grill.
I went to the U.S. Women's World Cup victory tour in Pittsburgh, and we stayed at a hotel. We actually stayed at the hotel connected to whatever it was, PPG Paints Arena, whatever it is now, Pittsburgh's hockey rink. We stayed in that hotel, and they had shuttle service, and we said, we're going to the soccer game tomorrow. Can we have a ride? And they said, yeah, but we're not taking you to the stadium. Like, they don't even go over there. They dropped us off on one side of the Fort Duquesne Bridge, and we had to walk. We had to walk across the Fort Duquesne Bridge, which was sweet. I love the Fort Duquesne Bridge. That's the one where traffic on top goes one way and beneath goes the other. And it's a sweet view. You walk right over the three rivers, and like, you're literally walking between PNC Park and Heinz Field. It's amazing. I love driving over that bridge, but literally the shuttle wouldn't even take us to the stadium for a women's soccer game because it's just a pain in the ass to get over there. Yeah. They're not going to bother. The shuttle's like, I'm not dealing with that traffic. I'll drop you off here. And it was probably a 2-mile walk to the stadium. I'm not kidding. It was like a 20-minute walk.
The town thrives on the tailgating, and it's the proud. Everyone here's so proud of it. Come party at the Bills game. A lot of people go to the Bills games more to the tailgate than they are the Bills games.
Correct. It's the whole day.
I got a buddy on my Facebook. He's posting his tailgate recipes on Facebook on fucking Wednesday and getting them prepared Thursday. And
the RV lots sell out on Thursdays. RV lots are full.
I've been to 2 downtown stadiums. I've been to Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and just the tailgate experience has stunk. But that's why if you're bummed about it, I understand. And I'm bummed about it too, but you just can't do it, unfortunately.
No, downtown just doesn't work. No matter how much people want to, how much people can wish all you want, it's just not going to make it work.
I also came to this realization about downtown Buffalo that it's growing. It's not a lot of new stuff doing in there, a lot of breweries, bars, nice restaurants. But it's also like nothing's really clumped together. Everything is this in these little chunks. You know what I mean? You can't walk to anywhere. You gotta like
even if you go down Main Street, it's all in clumps. You got things here, then you gotta go up a bit. Oh, then there's things here, but then you gotta go up a bit.
I realized that I was in Savannah, Georgia, like last week, and you could walk anywhere in this city in 10 minutes. And everything's so close together. There's bars, restaurant, bars. You can't do that in Buffalo. I can't just leave my house. I'm bored. Let's go walk around and find something. You can't do that here.
That's the Arena District in Columbus, too. I was surprised when I went there for work years ago. If you come out of the rink, the Nationwide Arena, and you turn left, there's this long walkway, and it has pedestrian bridges over every road, so you never have to cross the street, and just lined on either side with bars and restaurants and whatever you're into. Like when I went for work once, I went to I like country music, so I went to kind of more of that scene, and my boss liked more like live bar music type sound, and he went to a different bar. But there's you can leave the rink and walk to probably 20 different restaurants within 5 minutes.
It's getting close down there by the arena. If they would get rid of that stupid HSBC building,
I know,
and put some nice restaurants, bars in there, that'd top it all off. Because you got the new Southern Tier going down there. You got Pizza Plant across the street. You can walk over to Hopper House. You could, you got Lock House. You got Cobblestone. What's the other bar? There's another bar right on that street. It's close. I just wish a stadium would inject all this shit. Be a shot into the arm.
Yeah.
Then you got the casino right there too. I mean,
the casino. You guys been to Hopper House yet?
Yes.
Blast.
I have not.
I love that place. Only once, but I love that place.
Let's go. You got to go when there's a band. You go when there's a band
There was
playing.
band played. There was.
You got to go when there's a band.
But we weren't allowed to stand up on our benches and dance because of COVID.
Oh, well, it's different now.
I know. But I went in Kentucky years ago when pre-COVID, and it was a blast. Zicka zacka, zicka zacka, oi, oi, oi.
All right. I guess we've been going for about an hour 10.
I think that people that would listen to this would think that all we were trying to do is be contrarians.
Yeah, probably.
But I swear that's not what we do. This is just, we work together. We talk about this stuff all the time. This is the conversations we have. And this is where we're really at. Just trying to be objective, trying to be hopefully intelligent. Not that we don't stand much chance of that, but we try.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall, not only the three of us, but also Jeff, we all work together.
Yeah.
So,
I would be curious to see what Jeff had to say about this. I don't think he'd be on the complete same page as
He would be like, let's trade Jack Eichel for a downtown stadium.
Yeah. That's probably precisely what he would say, actually. And Derek would be yelling in the background about something.
Yeah. I don't know.
Something about Ralph Kruger.
So don't trade Eichel. Don't trade Sam. Hold on to them because they're good hockey players, and we're excited for the new stadium to be built in 3 weeks.
You forgot about one thing. That the Sabres need to try winning also with Jack and Sam.
That's
so that way winning makes them happy and they want to stay.
It's probably a good idea.
Once I hear more concrete evidence out of Friedman, instead of I believe, I think, I'm not buying it.
Yep.
I think trade talk's picking up. I don't think it's Sam.
Doesn't mean
I don't think it's Jack.
Doesn't mean that they aren't. Every GM could be calling Kevin Adams right now to kick the tires. Hey, we heard Jack's available, and he can say, "Hey, pound sand."
And there probably is definitely trade to come. They got to trade somebody, or they're going to lose. They're going to lose a good player to Seattle.
Yep.
So there's definitely trade talk wrapping up out of Buffalo, 100%
for sure.
But I don't think it's Jack. I'm sure it's been talked about. I'm sure teams are calling.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Adams listened.
Yep.
But I think that's about the extent of it.
He might be laughing him right off the phone though.
Yeah. I'm sure it's been talked about. That's about it. But yeah, we're digress.
Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for connecting with us. We've missed having these conversations for the past couple weeks, but it was good to be chatting Bills and Sabres. It's fun that there's some news going on. The good, the bad, and the ugly still leads to some good conversations. Make sure you check us out on all the platforms. We love talking on Twitter, Facebook. You can find us, tweet at us, and we'll be sure to engage with you there. If you completely disagree with us, we'd love to talk with you about that. So check us out on Twitter, 716 Sport Podcast, on Facebook, 716 Sports Podcast, wherever you find podcasts, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can connect with us, YouTube, wherever you would like to listen to us. You can find us there. Go back and listen to any of our old episodes. Until next time, we really appreciate you listening to us here on the 716 Sports Podcast, and we'll see if Tampa Bay scores 9 more goals before we finish wrapping this up tonight. See you.